Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, after losing to the Vikings, is bad blood brewing between Adrian Peterson and Saints head coach Sean Payton. Plus reaction to Tom Brady saying he hasn't paid much attention to the Colin Kaepernick story. And with week 1 in the books, which team stands out as the best in the AFC West? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. The Vikings opened their season with an impressive 29-19 win over the Saints. Sam Bradford tore up the Saints' D, throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes, with 2 of those to Stephon Diggs. Rookie Dalvin Cook followed suit, rushing for 127 yards and breaking the record for most rushing yards by a rookie in his Vikings debut. And he guessed who previously held that record? Adrian Peterson, who set the record 10 years ago. He had a disappointing homecoming in his Saints debut. He tied a career low with only 6 carries for 18 yards and only played 9 snaps. But the moment everyone was talking about came when AP and coach Sean Payton appeared to have some words on the sideline in a brief but heated exchange. Both Payton and AP spoke about that moment after the game.
The TV broadcast showed you saying something to Sean when he had his back turned, and he turned back and said something to you. What was said there?
I'll keep that confidential, you know. Yeah.
Were you upset about something?
No, just communicating with him.
Is there any issue with you and Sean, anything you have to work out?
No, any issues? No, I don't know what clip you're talking about, but...
You'll see it.
Yeah.
It's the one with the death stare.
The death stare? There's no conflict, let's not try to spin it like it is.
We weren't in any heated exchange. Listen, I'd tell you if we were in a heated exchange, so why don't you ask him? But I think he was into it. We were all into it. There was none that I can recall, and I'm being honest.
After the game, Peterson decided not to keep it confidential. He tweeted that he was telling Payton to run the ball, but he respects his coach. Shannon, are you surprised how little the Saints used him?
No, I'm not. This is what happens, Skip, when you have a running back by committee. And what you can see is that the New England Patriots, there were games that LeGarrette Blount would have 30 carries. And then the next week, he would have 2 or 5. Or he would have 15 one week, and then the next week, James White had 10 catches. This is what it is, running back by committee. And what you need to get out of your head, and what a lot of Adrian Peterson fans need to get out of their head, he's Adrian Peterson in New Orleans. He was AP in Minnesota. You're not going to see that guy again. Because here's the thing, Skip, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, to get the maximum benefit of Adrian Peterson, you need to give him the ball. He needs to carry the ball.
How do you know what I'm thinking?
Because I know you. Okay. But here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think Sean Payton trusts the most, Drew Brees or Adrian Peterson? Because if you give Adrian...
Or Mark Ingram or Adrian Peterson.
Well, Skip, here's the thing. What Adrian should have done, he should have taken the $6 to $8 million to stay in Minnesota, be the bell cow. But what he wanted, he thought he was more valuable somewhere else. He overplayed his hand, and then a couple of days before the draft, he signed a 2-year, $7 million with the Saints. He could have had that very same deal in Seattle, but he thought it would get better as you got closer to the draft, and then you have 7 rounds, and then you have free agency. You see, Skip, I'm a firm believer in this. I've always felt this. The devil you know is better than the one you don't. And him wanting to make $10 to $12 million, why not take the 6 to 8? You're going to be the bell cow in Minnesota. They love you. They adore you in Minnesota. Why would you let your ego, after all what they've done for you, and rightfully so, because you've been an exemplary player. You've been great at running the football. MVP, All-Pro, Pro Bowl. But Skip, he's not that guy anymore, Skip. And I don't know, and I told you this, he's not going to get the carries, because if he gets the ball 30, 35 times, what does that mean? You're taking the ball out of Drew Brees' hand. Well, this offense was built around Drew Brees and what he does really well. And what does Drew Brees does really well, Skip? What does he do really well? I'm talking about really, really well. He throw it. Does Adrian Peterson catch it really well? So now, think about it. And all the backs really, Kamara played the most, but they all had about the same amount of carries for about the same amount of yards. Now, it might vary from week to week. 1 week, Adrian Peterson might get 20, 25 carries. But he should not expect to be the bell cow, because that's not what he is any longer. And when you play running back by committee, this is what you get. 1 week it might be him. The next week it might be Mark Ingram. The following week it might be Alvin Kamara. But Skip, this is what happens to an aging player going on a different team. that already had a Pro Bowl running back and drafted a running back in the 3rd round. This is what you get. And I know he's sad. He's an OU Sooner, and to see him on that sideline, it made my stomach turn just seeing him 28 with Peterson on the back of that jersey. Like, you belong in purple. How could you?
The other OU Sooner lit him up. I'm talking about Sam Bradford, that scarecrow of a dart thrower.
But you know,
suddenly turned into Drew Brees last night. I don't know what happened.
But you know what? He's going to tease you. And Minnesota's going to empty the bank for him.
You're probably right. Mr. Sharpe.
Yep.
On cross-examination, I ask you, what happened the very first play of the football game last night? Just help me out. Maybe you should check with your researcher. I don't know. Just help me out.
You know what happened?
I don't know. Help me out.
He got a few yards, Skip.
He got a few yards. He got 9 yards right up the gut in the last 5. I think he carried the entire Vikings defense on his back for the last 5 yards.
Yes.
A 9-yard opening gain, and I thought, here they go. And then he crashes into the middle for the 1 yard they needed to get the first down, and then there he went. He went back to the sideline. And I'm like, what? You just took out Adrian Peterson for what?
Yeah.
If you're going to sign Adrian Peterson, and if you're going to give him a chance to be Adrian Peterson again, which, silly me, I thought was going to happen, to your credit, you said no, then you at least have to give Adrian Peterson the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 series of the football game to let him break a sweat and get some rhythm, get a little momentum, because that's all he knows. That's all he's ever done. Starting back in Palestine, Texas, when he ran wild on the state of Texas in high school football. And then he went to my OU Sooners, and they would give him 25, 30 carries a game because that's how it goes. And I told you he would drive me crazy when he was at OU because he'd have a 9-yard gain and a 9-yard gain, and then all of a sudden he'd have an 18-yard gain. It's just the way you have to do business with that type of back. Is he 38 years old? He's 32. He's about a year and a month older than Marshawn Lynch. And we saw what happened Sunday when Oakland opened at Tennessee. They let Marshawn attempt to become Marshawn again after a year away from football, right? And what did he do? 18 carries for 76 yards, which is what I thought would happen to Adrian last night. And I thought he was off to the races with an opening 9-yard burst.
But don't you think, although they're both power backs, Marshawn has more make you miss than Adrian Peterson?
He does, or at least he did Sunday. But I don't know. A couple of times I saw little flashes where I thought, I can still see that guy. So ultimately, I was so disappointed and ultimately so disgusted with Sean Payton because I have no idea what his plan was last night because I don't think he had a very good plan last night. And I did say that I thought he would, because he signed him, that he was going to give him a chance to have Adrian Peterson kind of impact, like team-lifting, season-making impact, especially when game number 1 takes Adrian back home to his old stomping grounds in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he gets to go head-to-head with his new, young, hot replacement, Dalvin Cook. And I was geared up after that first carry, and then here came the committee. So I'm going to slightly modified the oldest cliche in football, which is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. You know that cliche,
yes.
Don't you? If you have 3 running backs, you have none. That's the deal.
Patriots got
Especially, 4. Not like this. Not when, but one of them isn't Adrian Peterson, and the other one didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. It's bad enough to have Adrian Peterson and Mark Ingram, and I thought maybe he would shelve Mark Ingram for a few games just to see what Adrian could do at his advanced age, but still only 32. And when they took Alvin Kamara in the third round, and it's clear to me after last night that Sean, he's starting to fall in love with Alvin because Alvin can catch it, and Alvin's got 4.5 speed, and what is he, 215 or so. And again, he was signed by Alabama, started with the Crimson Tide, wound up at Tennessee, didn't have that many carries, but he was like a diamond in the rough. And so if that's what you're going to do, make him your Dalvin Cook, or make Mark Ingram your Mark Ingram like you did last year. But we had Drew Brees on at the Super Bowl, and Drew told us we need to get back to 2009 when obviously they broke through and won the Super Bowl with 50-50 run pass. And last night it wound up 37 passes to 21 runs because they fell behind after a really good start in that football game. You realize it was 6-3 all the way to the 4-minute mark of the second quarter? when the ceiling fell in part because Zach Strief, who's their best offensive lineman, got hurt and went out, and all of a sudden, here they came after Drew Brees. And we know the Vikings can play defense, especially in that building, which is like an echo chamber.
Yes.
You know, it might be the loudest building the Metrodome used to be, but it seems like they've carried it right over, right?
Recreate that, absolutely.
Yep. So I was so disappointed in Sean Payton because clearly, I'm sorry, they tried to do their damage control after the game, but Adrian Peterson was spitting fire at him, and I'm not advocating a star or a fading star verbally attacking his coach during a game, but I felt so sorry for Adrian Peterson last night because not only was it shameful the way he was treated during the game with this committee, like you're running him every other play. It's like, you know, back in the day, Tom Landry once upon a time tried to alternate quarterbacks every other play. Do you remember this?
Yes.
They tried to actually go in every other play. It's a disaster. It won't work.
Skip, Dan Reeves did that in '92 with Sean Moore and Tommy Maddox when John Elway got hurt.
And he learned it from Coach Landry.
We went 0-8.
Okay?
I'm just
okay?
that.
I just don't love it. You have to pick a side. You have to say, this is who we are, or this is who we are, or that's who we are.
Right.
If you want to go with Alvin the Kid, go with Alvin the Kid.
Right.
He'll be your Dalvin. Alvin will be your Dalvin. But in this case, I felt so sorry for Adrian because he got humiliated on a national Monday Night Football stage, back in his stomping grounds against Dalvin Cook, and he's having to run in and out of the game every other play. And it got worse and worse to where when the ceiling finally fell in, and then Bradford starts throwing it to Adam Thielen, who looked like Julio Jones all of a sudden. And again, their defense was flying for a while, but it felt like the whole heart got taken out of the team when the running back by committee wasn't working. And then they didn't seem to have a plan. And you realize the New Orleans Saints were third in the NFL last year in red zone efficiency. And they go into the red zone 5 times last night, and they scored 1 touchdown. Well, what if they convert those to touchdowns? That's 12 more points. Well, they lost by 10. So they could have easily been in this game, and I thought they were off to a good start, but Sean Payton screwed this up. And I was dead wrong about this. I really thought Sean Payton was going to feature Adrian for a while just to see what he had left in the tank. You can't do him here and there. And again, the Belichick method is this is your game, this is your game, and then this is your game.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
But this is your play. No, now you're out.
Right.
He goes 9 yards, 1 yard for first down, and he's out of the game?
What?
You're kidding.
Here's the thing, Skip. What did Sean Payton tell him when he came for his visit? You see, I never got upset when I was in Baltimore at the Ravens because Brian Billick had already let me know what to expect, that my days of catching 80-plus passes were long gone. I understood that. So I didn't come under false pretense thinking I was going to be what I was in Denver because they had let me know that's not what was going to happen. And plus, they didn't have a John Elway. Second, Skip, if you look at them, when they won the Super Bowl, they were still running back by committee. Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush. Now they have 1 extra back. It just goes to show you that still, they're going to have a running back by committee, but the ball, the majority of the time, will be in Drew Brees' hands, and he's going to be throwing it. Skip, you don't get 5. Drew Brees has more 5,000-yard passing seasons than the rest of the NFL combined. You don't get that by turning around handing the ball off. There's a reason why he's on pace.
I know, but he also told us at the Super Bowl, you've got to get back to balance.
What's he supposed to say publicly, Skip?
I thought he believed it. When I looked into his eyes, I think he really wanted to get back to something that's stable, that you can count on. And I thought with Adrian, they could control the clock better and try to be so more balanced where they would actually win time of possession occasionally instead of quick strike, or quick 3 and out.
Yeah, you know, I believe, this is what I believe. I believe a lot of quarterbacks want to run the football, but I still need to get my 300 yards and 3 touchdowns passing in that game also. But you can't have it both ways, Skip. Because the thing is now Drew has become accustomed to throwing the ball 35-plus times every game. And to ask him, because if you give that ball to Adrian Peterson 30, 35 times a game, Drew Brees is not going to be throwing it 35, 40 times a game. On average, you get somewhere between 62 and 68 plays per game. Now, if you get more than that, Skip, you had a heck of a ball game. Skip, there's only so many times you're going to have the ball. There's only so many times you can run it. There's only so many times you can pass it. Now, maybe if they get the lead and they want to run the air out of the ball, run the team out of the building.
That was the problem last night.
Right.
It's 6-3, and you think, oh, you can keep running the ball.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the roof literally falls in on the Saints because all of a sudden Sam Bradford's just winging it down the field, and they're not getting any more pressure on him. They got good pressure on him at the first.
Well, let me ask you this, Skip. How many times are you going to let him run the a 7-route combination or a corner route? Thielen, okay, you got the smash. Okay, he run the 7, the corner route over the top of it. Okay, you run scissors. Guy up the seam or to the post, Thielen to the corner. Kyle Rudolph, corner route. How many times are you going to let them run a 7 routes before you change the coverage up?
And then Diggs ran one to the flag, and they just completely blew the coverage. And it's just like, thank you.
I bet you, Thielen probably had 150 yards. I bet 125, 130 of them came on the same route combination.
Yep.
At some point in time, you got to change up the coverage. But not to get off topic, Skip, I told you this what was going to happen. When I believe they kind of did Adrian a favor. And he got desperate, Skip, because remember now, free agency started like the second week of March. He didn't sign until almost a week before the draft or a couple of days before the draft. So that's a big time period in there. If somebody wanted him or thought he was going to be valuable, they would have got him a lot earlier. But Skip, 2 years, $7 million, that was the going rate. That's the same money Eddie Lacy got. He could have stayed in Minnesota, been AP, been the bell cow. Now, that's not to say they wouldn't have taken Dalvin Cook, but the fact
maybe they wouldn't have.
Maybe. But Skip, okay, you had a $16 million option. You know they were never picking up that, Skip. And to think you're going to get somewhere between 10 and 12, when they look at the market, they don't even want to play Le'Veon Bell, who's probably 6 years younger than you. The Steelers don't want to give him an average of $12 million a year. And you think that's what you're going to get? With your injury history, especially the last 3 years, and your age, Skip, swallow your pride. You were never going to be AP, but for anybody else other than the Vikings. As Chris Carter mentioned, the way they let you were God there. Your AP in Minnesota is like Brady or any of these top quarterbacks at their franchises. They get carte blanche service. Everything is taken care of.
Yep.
You get passes, you get this, you get that. Skip, I get it. He's just another guy. He's a fading, an aging superstar on a different team. And it's sad to see him like that Adrian Peterson played 9 snaps.
Yep.
9.
And Adrian Peterson might have made the mistake of going after Sean Payton, and it's obviously captured on tape. And even though Sean Payton said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'd tell you if I knew. He looked over his shoulder. He heard it. He saw it. He knows it. And that is one guy who has pretty much total control of that franchise that will not take that. So I'm going to say that at the very least, Adrian just went into the doghouse. So he's now third string.
Over under 8 games before he's released.
Okay, well, then I've got to credit Charles Woodson with this for saying this on ESPN at halftime. He said, don't let the Giants get hold of Adrian Peterson. He said, if I'm the Giants, I'm calling tomorrow to see if maybe we can figure out some way to get him. You know, would they give up some late-round pick just to get him? Because I don't want to see that. That would scare me as a Cowboy fan, is if the Giants got a hold of him.
He doesn't fit, Skip. He doesn't fit to what they do in New Orleans. I mean, it looks good. I mean, you know how you get like a shiny something, you get oh, that would look good. But then when you get it in there, you're like, that don't fit in this decor. That doesn't look right in this. It's like an old school and contemporary. It doesn't go together, Skip. He's an old school power running back and an exotic, new age, up-tempo, throw the ball over the field offense. He just doesn't fit.
I will give you this. A, you were right about this from the start. But B, nothing looked right last night. It looked completely out of sync the whole night. So whatever new way they were that they were thinking of trying, it just didn't work from the start, especially when you're trying to do it by committee with a Hall of Fame running back as your lead dog in the committee.
But that's why it didn't look right, because you're trying to find a place for a Hall of Fame running back in an offense that's up-tempo, that's throw the ball. Because a lot of the swing stuff, a lot of the quick passing, that's their running game, a la the Patriots. But Skip, I just didn't, even when this deal was done, I just didn't see how he could get the carries to be the guy that you thought he could be, because he is a guy that, as you mentioned, he might have 10 carries for 30 yards, but on the 11th carry, he's going to go 34 for a touchdown.
Yep.
And when you look at it, now he has 11 for 64, and you look at like, okay, that's the Adrian Peterson.
Okay, why did Marshawn get 18 carries at Tennessee on Sunday? Because he's the only guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Jalen Richard is the sort of the other running back.
He's the scat back,
the
yes,
scat
yes,
back,
yes.
and he got 5 carries to Beast Mode's 18 carries. So, again, all I know is the first play of the game looked really good to me, and after that, that was the end of Adrian Peterson as we knew and loved him. So if you commit, if you say we're going to get him 18 carries, I think the outcome would have been different. But you're going to have to change. You're going to have to combine old school. You're going to have to go old school instead of just being contemporary.
The Giants would certainly be interesting. It doesn't get any easier for the Saints than they have New England at home.
They got them.
So rough start for them.
No mercy.
Adrian Peterson had a disappointing homecoming in his Saints debut. He tied a career low with only 6 carries for 18 yards and only played 9 snaps. But the moment everyone was talking about came when AP and coach Sean Payton appeared to have some words on the sideline in a brief but heated exchange. We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick. Welcome, Michael.
Morning.
Thank you.
Michael, how would you have felt if you were Adrian Peterson last night?
I would have been somewhat frustrated. You know, to only have 9 carries early in the game.
Well, he had
throughout
9
the course,
snaps. He had 6 carries. He had 9
6
snaps.
carries, 9 snaps, just not enough. I mean, for one of the most heralded running backs to ever play the game, it was an emotional night for him. But I know from personal experience, when you go back into your former team's stadium and you just want to stick it to them, it never seems to go right. And I've been a victim of that. In 2011, we went back to Atlanta. I was with Philadelphia, and I just wanted to go and have the best game of my life, win the game, and show them what they were really missing. I got knocked out of the game with a concussion. So in terms of what happened and transpired last night, Dalvin Cook just took over. 127 yards on the ground. And I know Adrian Peterson wishes that was him, but he has to look forward to the duration of the season. It's a long season. There's no need to get emotional over one game. Sean Payton to get it right, but there was no running game last night. The Minnesota Vikings defense did a great job in containing not only Adrian Peterson, but Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram.
Yep. The thing is, Skip, here's the thing. Why did you fall in love with Adrian Peterson? Anytime you sign, and I'm not talking about Adrian Peterson, anytime you sign a guy in free agency, you better use him the exact same way, the system that he came from. That's the only way you can maximize, because you fell in love for him for a reason. If he's a man corner, don't ask him to play zone. Skip, you remember Larry Brown, the Super Bowl MVP for the Dallas Cowboys?
I knew him very well.
I remember Larry.
He was a cover 4 corner. He was a quarters corner. He went to the Raiders. The Raiders play all man. What happened to him, Skip?
Exposure.
He got exposed. He was out of the league. You love what you saw.
By the way, I'm not sure Joy was born yet, but do you remember Neil O'Donnell in that Super Bowl?
I do.
He made Larry Brown millions of dollars because he threw him this one and this one. And
Yes.
Right?
Neil came out with me in 1990. Actually, he was my quarterback in the blue-gray game.
Oh, was he?
Back in the day. I think we played him in Montgomery.
Well, then he made you a lot of money.
No, he didn't make me nothing. He cost me money anyway. Skip. But that's not the
What year
hill.
was the blue and gray game?
Huh?
What year was the blue and gray game?
It's a ton of those games.
Yeah, it's a bunch of them now. This was in it was on Christmas Day, 1989. Oh, were you
That was 2.
There you go.
I should have said that out loud. Skip, the thing is, if I'm Adrian, I can be AP in Minnesota. But if I go anywhere else, I'm Adrian Peterson. He could have stayed there, Skip, make $6 to $8 million, be the guy. He's going to be the bell cow. See, you've mentioned this. He's always been the de facto back. From Pop Warner to junior high, high school, college, and for his 8, 9, 10 years in Minnesota, he was the guy.
Yep.
Now you asking him to share carries, Skip. Running back, most players are rhythm players. I need to get into a rhythm. I need to start feeling it. And when I'm feeling it, come on, let me go. Let me have it. I get 2 carries, I'm gone. Okay, I got to wait 5 minutes before I get back in the game, and I get 1 carry, and I'm out. I'm 1 carry, and I'm out. I can't get into a rhythm. Think about it. If you ask the quarterback to throw 2 passes and then don't let him throw another pass for, say, 10 minutes? He's going to get out of rhythm.
No feel.
Players, especially offensive players, they are rhythm players. Skip, early in my career, I used to come off the bench, And it was easy because I already knew the expectation. I'm going to play X amount of snaps. I'm going to play most of my snaps on third down. Okay, I can get to a rhythm. As I started getting older and I was going back to that role, it took me a while to retransition. I'm like, well, wait a minute now. Dude, you bring me on the field, I catch one pass, then I run back off the field. You bring me back on the field. I'm like, Mike, I need to get a rhythm. He's like, 84, what you need? I said, I need to play a little bit more than that. No problem. Well, Adrian needed to go to Sean Payton and say, Sean, I'm going to need at least 15 touches because I can't do anything with 6. I can't. That's not his game. Gillisley, those guys that play New England, Skip, they know what they're going to get into going in. I think, now, unless Sean Payton told him, now we're running back by committee, and it goes varies from week to week, but if he told him, I'm going to give you X amount of touches or you're going to be the guy, and that's not happening, I can understand why Adrian Peterson would feel some type of way. But it's not easy being the man to being one of the men.
Can you imagine back in the days of the Michael Vick experience in Atlanta, GA, if Dan Reeves had said, hey, come over and sit down for a series. I just want you to cool off a little bit and think about what's happening. You would have been out of your mind because you're flowing, man. You've broken your sweat. You're in. You have momentum, and it builds every series. You get more and more comfortable with the speed of the game until it's like they talk about the thought of no thought, where you don't even need to think anymore. It's just happening, right? Well, that's Adrian Peterson. It's all he's ever known. And what just tore me apart about last night was the first play of the game. First play.
I think 9
here.
yards.
Boom, up the gut, and he must have carried the whole defense for the last 5. You don't think he was pumped up?
Yeah, of course.
To do what you said that he wanted to do? To show up Dalvin Cook back in his old stomping grounds? And that was basically the end of the night for Adrian as we knew and loved him.
Right.
He got one more carry, which he got the first down, and then Sean's like, hey, come on over here. And I'm just stunned. I'm sitting in my living room saying, they just took Adrian Peterson out of the game after 2 carries? You can't, then don't do it at all. It was almost like he patted him on the head. Yeah, you're back in Minnesota. I'm going to give you.
You started.
Yeah, you got to start, but you ain't finishing because I still got a Pro Bowl back in Mark Ingram. And by the way, this Kamara kid that I drafted in the 3rd round, I love him. He's my new pet project, right?
Yeah.
Because he can catch it, and Adrian's never had the best hands. He can catch it a little bit, but,
that's not his
it's not his deal, okay? So I'll be the first to admit, to your point, it's not over, it's game 1, and you said yesterday, it's only game 1, don't overreact. So I don't want to overreact, but I've got that sinking feeling. I swung and missed completely at this because I thought that Sean Payton was going to try to show the NFL that this guy has this much left at age 32, which is not too old to be a running back. He's a year and a month older than Marshawn Lynch. And I just seen Marshawn in Oakland where they don't have, Latavius Lett, remember, he's now the backup of the Vikings, right?
Yep.
So your feature back left, and it left you only Jalen Richard as your little backup, right? Your change of pace guy. And all of a sudden, what a sweet deal for beast mode. He gets to go be the feature back. And they gave him 18 carries. And you know what? He looked like beast mode to me. He hadn't lost a half a step.
But beast mode didn't go to a team that had a Pro Bowl running back.
And that's what I'm saying. It was clean. It was open. It's like, we need you.
I believe
he's the guy.
Yeah. Adrian would have been better going to Seattle, going to New York, where they don't have a guy.
Apparently, didn't Seattle kick his tires? It seemed like they did.
Well, he kicked their tires, but he wanted a Ferrari on top of those tires.
Yeah, and Shannon, I think what you said is running back by committee. Yeah. And I think Sean Payton and Adrian Peterson will have a conversation because why go out in game 1 and, like I said, it's an emotional game and run Adrian Peterson into the ground, just for, for one game. Yeah, just to
I mean, if you can win it, if he can sort of lift
if you can win it on your own, if you was 24 years old, and maybe he would have got more of the workload.
It's really only emotional for Adrian Peterson, not for Sean Payton.
Yeah.
And by the way, last point, to your point about New England, they have a committee too, but it's by game, not by down. Like he just says, okay, in the past, LeGarrette, this is going to be your night, or this is going to be your night, or whoever, James White, this is going to be your night. But he doesn't just bring them in and out like 3 of them by committee. So if you have 3 running backs, you have no running backs. That's my conclusion.
No mercy.
Last night, the Broncos held on to beat the Chargers at home 24-21. Trevor Siemian threw 2 touchdown passes and added a rushing touchdown. The Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders all started the season with big wins. Derek Carr led the Raiders to a win in Tennessee, and Alex Smith threw for 4 touchdown passes in the Chiefs' win at Foxborough. We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez. Welcome, Tony.
Hey, guys.
Morning, Tony.
Morning.
Go ahead.
You're looking sharp today.
Thank you there, Skip.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I feel pretty good in my jacket after Shannon told on me.
He's not wearing a jacket. How come he doesn't have to wear a jacket?
Shannon is he's a snitch.
Yeah. I see you got on summer clothes. Some of Rob Parker's, some of Chris Broussard's. Some of,
I get it.
some of Jim Jackson.
All right.
Skip said
Jack, you know what? This is the Michael Strahan collection.
It is. That's
nice.
what.
But you can't get one of those, huh? With your V cut suits.
You hater.
Too tight. See?
Hating ain't easy, Skip. He got a lot of practice there.
Shannon, after
Yeah.
week 1, who is the best team in the AFC West?
Jeez.
Yes.
Did you say
You
that?
said it. Say it louder. Come on. Put some bass.
Kansas City.
Yes.
Wow.
Come around.
But we all know how this go end. Horse that starts fast don't run fast long. Unless it's Secretariat. And you, not Secretariat. Skip, I mean, from what I saw, I mean, it's 1 week, but to go, it's hard to win in the NFL and to go on the road and win a ball game when a team is unveiling their 5th banner and the electricity in that building, and to do what they did. I mean, they had, 105-0 and leading going into the 4th quarter or at the half.
At home.
At home. Last AFC team to beat them at home. That doesn't happen. I mean, Tom Brady's probably lost 30 games in his career, and very few of them has been at home.
They lost 21-0 in the 4th quarter
All of
at
them.
home.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to them. And so for the Chiefs to go on the road and get that win in that environment, you have to be most impressed with them. The Raiders going on the road and beating Tennessee, followed by the Broncos because they won last night, and Chargers, obviously, they lost because they played the Broncos. They beat them. But the Chiefs, I mean, Alex Smith, for once I saw him, he wasn't checked down. He was touchdown. He was throwing the ball down the field. Tyreek Hill is special. He's dynamic. You just try to find as many ways as you possibly can to get the ball in his hand. And this Kareem Hunt, nobody saw this. Nobody saw this. The guy rushed for 130 yards, 140 yards, and then another 98 on the ground. Nobody saw this. They still have Kelsey. They got guys who can make play defense.
Who was that Justin Houston guy?
Oh,
Who that was?
Hey,
Big time.
He gets overlooked because of Von Miller,
Yep.
because of J.J. Watt. They were in that same draft. But if you look at the AFC West pass rushers as a whole, look at those 2 guys in San Diego, Ingram and Bosa.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack in Oakland, and then you got Von Miller. So this division is very deep as far as pass rushers, but right now, there's no question about it. The Kansas City Chiefs. As a matter of fact, Skip, they might be when the power rankings come out this week, they might be 2nd. Green Bay probably be number 1. They'll be number 2.
Oh, I agree with everything you're saying. In that order, too. I think it's Kansas City, the Raiders, Denver, and then obviously San Diego. But looking at that Kansas City Chief team, something that happened to them that is going to be a huge, huge impact on their team's future success is the loss of Eric Berry. Eric Berry is he was the best in the NFL. And what he did to Gronkowski
It was impressive.
Obviously one of the best tight ends to ever play this game, to shut him down the way he did and to make plays on 4th down. You can't replace that.
Nope.
And that's such a big deal. So that's what scares me about them going forward. But looking at Derek Carr and beast mode back, I don't know if you have that tape. Because if you saw the play where Marshawn Lynch ran over that 320-pound defensive tackle, that is some special stuff right there going on. But this division right now looks like it's the best division in all of football. They got great quarterbacks. Alex Smith, like you said, looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's the best he's ever played. Something about Patrick Mahomes being there, I think, is really bringing out the best in Alex Smith, where he's saying, hey, you know what, I still can play this game, whether I'm going to be here next year or not. Don't count me out. And you got to appreciate that in a player and your leader going forward.
To your point, all I know for sure after 1 week is this is by far the toughest division in football. Because I got to say, I was impressed with all 4 teams. I picked the Chargers in a big upset to win the division, And listen, last night in the fourth quarter, they took the game over, and I started to see Bosa and Melvin Ingram and Phillip Rivers. He will battle you to the end. They've had too much of a history of losing those close games, and they lost another one at the buzzer. So that's to be dealt with going forward. But I'm with both of you. Kansas City looked Super Bowl good just for 1 week, but it was in the right place at the right time, in the wrong place and wrong time for New England. The Raiders were impressive because they just took care of business pretty methodically. And Denver, I told you, I thought they were going to miss Wade Phillips, TJ Ward, and they didn't miss them at all. I thought the defense looked really good. It was flying all night. It had some issues in the fourth quarter. The only issue again, Eric Berry's a big issue that's going to bring them back to earth a little bit, but your biggest issue is you have by far the worst quarterback in the division. He's not bad, but he's not great.
No.
And I don't think he believes in himself strongly enough to overcome some big late game blunders that you're going to get fairly consistently from him. So you're playing at a disadvantage because your defense is still your defense.
Yes.
It's still as good as anybody's defense.
This is Joe Woods, his first year being a defensive coordinator, so they got to work some kinks out. He will call the game differently than Wade Phillips. But if you look at it, it's amazing what having a guy on the roster that you know that they brought in for the sole purpose of replacing you. Alex Smith saw what happened to him when they got Colin Kaepernick in the second round. Well, when you take a guy with the 10th pick in the draft, what do you think the expectations are? What do you think that team's hopes are? They want him to play sooner than later. This is the best game I've ever seen Alex Smith play. Now, he had a phenomenal game, that playoff game, what was that, divisional skip against the
Texans.
No, against the Colts.
Oh, against the Colts. Oh, yeah.
They
but they lost.
Yeah,
45-44.
But he was dealing that day.
Until the end, when he dealt it back to Indy.
But for him to throw the ball down the field, I don't know why. And a lot of that is him because he wants his completion percentage to be high. He doesn't like to throw Hail Marys because it can fall incomplete or it could be an interception and that will hurt your completion percentage and your quarterback rating. But what I saw Thursday night, Skip, that's special. Now, you can go a long way. If he plays like that, and when that defense now, like you mentioned, Eric Berry now, I mean, I think Earl Thomas is still the best free safety in the game, but what he was able to do by disrupting Gronkowski, now Gronk didn't look like the Gronk that we're used to seeing. He looks a little rusty, a little stiff. But, Skip, that was special. Anytime you say, I beat the New England Patriots, I don't even care where you beat them at. If you beat them, that in and of itself is an accomplishment. But when you go to their place, where they rarely ever lose and beat them, oh yeah, you for real. They sent a message. Now I don't know who was listening to that message, but they sent a message on Thursday night. They ain't to be messed with. You should be proud of that.
They embarrassed Tom Brady at his house in the fourth quarter that he has always owned.
What do you think about that, though, without switching subject too much? New England Patriots, you saw what they did before that game because they televised it. That's not the Patriot way. I mean, putting up 28-3, that's just...
There's some
just
gloating
did not
going on.
seem like that. And that leads me to believe that maybe they got a little ahead of themselves, and I got a feeling that Coach Belichick, from here on out, is going to say, that's not us.
You know that wasn't Coach Belichick's idea. Now, you know that.
This could be the best thing that ever happened to them. It could be the best thing that ever happened to them going forward.
Mr. Kraft pulled an okey-doke on Coach Belichick.
He did.
Because they didn't, well, Coach, this is what we want to do. The banner is one thing, but 28-3 and having it, no.
So are you writing off the Patriots that you picked to get to the Super Bowl?
No.
You talked about the power rankings. Where do the New England Patriots now rank in those power rankings? If they lost the first game of the season, are they still a top 10 team?
Yeah.
Okay, they'll be the only top 10 team with a loss.
Yeah, no question. Tom Brady, I mean, they're going to lose 2 games and still be a top 10 team.
Where you got the Cowboys ranked? Second?
Well, 1-1, I mean, you won't be you can be in the top 10, but you can't be top 5.
Yeah, after they win. Yeah.
Huh?
After they lose to Trev?
Yeah, Trev got this.
Trev got this?
Trev.
Sunday versus the Dallas Cowboys at Mile High, or is it going to be Mile Low?
So, I mean, when Monday, when you come in here and Trevor outdoes your guy, what are you going to say, Skip? Prepare me.
That's a hypothetical.
Ain't no hypothetical.
Because it ain't happening.
What are you going to do?
Highly likely.
Huh?
Highly likely.
I don't have to worry about that.
How about some push-ups?
How about hypo likely?
Yeah. Well, he gets to play against a terrible defense.
Skip, don't do that,
That's what
Skip.
you told me.
No, don't do that, Skip. I mean, you got the best offensive line. I mean, they shouldn't even lay a hand. They shouldn't even lay a hand on Dakota.
You
Why
got
didn't you
Ron
like-
Leary.
What's wrong with
Ron
that?
Leary, he was the concussion protocol.
He got hurt. I know.
And it's a short week. Who did that? They know we had a Monday night game, and then they're going to turn around and put us on a Sunday. Who did that? That's your idea. You had something to do with it.
Jerry had
You weren't
something to do
impressed
with
by Trevor Siemian last night? You didn't
No.
think that he made some pretty good plays? I
Until
mean,
the fourth quarter, he was unraveling on schedule.
but up until then, he played pretty well. He's a young
played
player.
pretty well.
Give him some time.
No,
Give him some
I don't
time.
like. I don't like them young players. I ain't got much time. I'm closer to the end than the beginning. You get good on your time. Right now, I need you here. We here right here.
We gotta leave it there. It was
I got
really
one
nice
more
for
step
you
and I'm
to
up out
be
here.
objective about the Chiefs, though.
Yeah, it was nice.
I mean, I own it.
Especially
I
this
love the Chiefs, Skip. Because I had them do it. After I left the building, they would do it. Whoa.
No, down low.
Yeah, it wasn't no chop going.
Come on, man.
What was it, 214?
I be telling you, what was it? I don't forget.
214?
I think it was like
Oh, what was it?
12 for 214, 2 TD. I had 181 in the second half. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness. You ever
glad
had
you told
100? You ever had 181 yards period?
Yeah, in high school. I used to kill him. I'm a team player, though.
How you a team player getting all them catches of yards?
We gotta leave it there.
do you
Tony,
buy,
thanks for joining us.
No, Joe, I got to know, where do you get these bow ties, man? Do you make those things?
It's a clip-on.
It's a clip-on. I knew it.
Yesterday, Tom Brady was asked on WEEI radio in Boston if he has paid attention to the Colin Kaepernick situation and the anthem protests. Let's take a listen.
Hey, are you glad or are you proud that none of your guys, none of your teammates sits down for the anthem?
I don't really pay attention, to that. There's probably a lot of things for me to think about at that time, but I haven't thought about that much.
Have you paid much attention to the Kaepernick stuff or no?
Not much. I mean, not this time of year. I feel like I've got a lot. My attention goes in a lot of places, so not much.
Did you have a good relationship with Kaepernick? I know you played him, but did you have any kind of relationship with him?
No, I don't know Colin very well at all. I mean, I've never really had a conversation with him.
We're joined by Rob Parker. Welcome, Rob.
What's happening? Good morning.
Good morning.
Rob, is this a big deal or no big deal?
I think it's a big deal. Tom Brady, for a lot of people, is the face of the NFL. And I think it's disingenuous when Tom, I'm going to call him Tom Baloney instead of Tom Brady, acts as if he doesn't know what's going on. That it's football season, I'm so focused in on just football. No one wants Tom Brady to have to take up the cause or have to support Colin Kaepernick. But you got to acknowledge the problem, that there's something going on.
Yes.
And for Tom Brady to sit here and say he doesn't know what's going on in the league, where this has been a story for over a year, and the host on WEEI said, are you proud that none of your players have participated? What games are they watching? Do they know that Bennett and McCourty last year did it? And then in the game against the Chiefs, what's his name? Marcus Peterson.
Marcus Peterson.
Peters.
Peters for the Chiefs.
For the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
He sat down in that game.
Yeah.
So the whole notion that Tom Brady doesn't know what's going on and is kind of like, well, it's all about football. Well, is that true? So let me see. J.J. Watts is raising money for the Hurricane. Is it football season or is he like devoid of what's going on socially? You can't have it both ways. But this is the problem I have with Tom, Skip. He always comes off disingenuous. He was disingenuous about Deflategate, where I don't know the ball boys, but I got 100 texts with him, but I really don't know who that is.
He didn't know the ball boys.
And then the same thing.
Close with the ball boy.
Same thing that happened during the presidential election. He has the hat in his locker that says "Make America Great" with Donald Trump, and there's all these pictures of him playing golf or whatnot. But then he acts as if he doesn't know Donald Trump or is not tied to him in any way. You can't have it both ways. The worst people in the world are good people who turn their head when bad things happen. And that's how I look at Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers, of all people, plays in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Aaron Rodgers could have easily been like, doesn't happen. Easily skirted the whole conversation. And instead, he acknowledged what was going on, understands that there are problems, what's happening, and even acknowledged that Colin Kaepernick is good enough to play in the league. And here's Tom Brady, who won't even touch it, What are you afraid of? Of being honest? I'm not saying he's got to join the cause, Skip, but he has to acknowledge that there's a problem going on in the league. That's all.
You know, it's a no deal to me, Skip. You know why? Because he did exactly what I expected him to
No
do.
big deal.
No big deal.
Okay.
Because he's been Tom, oh, golly, gee whiz, guy. Skip, you know why he won't touch this? He saw the backlash he got for Make America Great hat again in his locker. He will not touch it because his base, he doesn't want to upset his base, or he doesn't want to upset the sponsor's base. So he's not touching this. Skip, this is what he said, okay. When asked about the Wells report when it came out, and he was speaking at Salem State. Brady was asked about it. He said, I don't really have any reaction, Brady said. Our owner commented on it yesterday. It's only been 30 hours. If somebody calls you a lie, do you need 30 hours, 30 days, 30 minutes to respond? I need 30 seconds. I ain't no liar. When the reporter asked him that Saturday, Tom, are you a cheater?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. What kind of reaction is that? Skip, Tom Brady is who and what we always thought he was. Tom Brady is not going to touch an issue that doesn't impact or affect him. This doesn't affect. What is the likelihood of Tom Brady ever getting jammed up by the police, Skip? Give me a percentage.
0.
No idea.
What's lower than 0? Can we get negative? Is there such a negative integer that's low? I want the low. Below, clearly there's a number low because you get 20 below 0, 30 below 0.
Okay.
So whatever 0 is, we're going to go lower than that. So 1,000 below 0. That's what it is. This doesn't affect him. Did J.J. Watt's get flooded? But he raised money because there were people that were affected, and it was important to him.
No, it's football season. I can't focus on anything but football.
You need to stick
what
to
are
your
you doing?
sport.
Stick to football.
Your sport is not raising money. You see, as Ben Franklin said, there can be no justice until people unaffected are as equally as outraged as those who are. So by pretending, and that's the problem, by pretending that this does not exist, but Skip, in September of last year, he's like, I've always chose to stand and reflect at a moment like this on the blessings that I have. So clearly he knows what's going on.
But he still skirted it. He wouldn't talk about it directly in that Esquire magazine.
But he didn't know. You know, I don't know what's going on. Rob, I'm getting ready for a ball game. How could I possibly know what's going on? I'm not surprised by Tom Brady. Tom Brady is as PC as it comes. He's a sponsor's dream because tall, white, married, handsome, articulate. I will not rock the boat. I will not say anything that will make you even want this dimension of my name. You're going to think greatness. You're going to think pure. You're going to think awesomeness. Am I surprised that Tom Brady took this approach? Absolutely not. Anything less would have been uncivilized.
So help me out. Who is the greatest player in any sport ever?
Michael
Jordan. Thank you. How many times did Michael Jordan speak up or speak out for any social or racial cause? Help me out.
Zero. And Michael Jordan was ripped as well.
He was.
Okay, so you can't say that people didn't rip Michael Jordan because I totally agree. Michael dropped the ball. Michael was about selling T-shirts and soda pop and sneakers. That's all he was interested in.
I assume he's still dropping the ball because I don't hear a word from Michael Jordan.
He gave $5 million, but Skip, here's the thing now. Just because Michael did it as the greatest doesn't make it right.
We're saying that it's not right.
Two wrongs don't make it right. Don't make a left either. But Michael was wrong in that case, and Tom is clearly wrong in this. But what do I expect?
So to your point about the Wells report, just remember, Tom Brady is a guy who doesn't say much, but he does it all. And when it's time to play football, I think we all agree he plays football at a high level. And he is widely acknowledged now as the greatest quarterback ever, although you say he's the luckiest quarterback ever. But you can't take away what he did in the fourth quarter against the Seahawks and the fourth quarter in overtime against the Atlanta Falcons on the biggest stage in the sport. So he's a put up and shut up guy. He just puts up. So instead of speaking out at Salem State that night, he chose to take it to the court of law. And did he not speak loudly in a court of law? Because I've never seen any player ever fight that long in a court of law. And he won at the first level, Judge Berman's court in Manhattan, and he took it to the appellate court, and he lost 2-1. One judge was for him, 2 were against him. And I know, because I know several people very close to him, they had planned to take this to the Supreme Court, and they just ran out of time, somewhat out of money, because he was spending a lot of the NFLPA's money here. And in the end, he said, I'm becoming a distraction for my team, my teammates. I'm going to swallow the 4 games. And did he not come back with a vengeance? I think he did.
Well, he could have took it to the Supreme Court, but he didn't want to come out of his own pocket to prove whether or not he did or didn't. As long as he was putting the NFLPA's coffers, he had no problem with that. But when the money was drying up and the players started complaining.
So, obviously, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are 2 very different individuals.
Yes.
And Aaron's got a much bigger social conscience to me. We talked about this last week, I guess, when the ESPN, the magazine piece came out. But in that piece, he was interviewed for that piece in July and then again briefly in early August. So it was complete offset. You know, it was before everything had started to take shape and take hold. And he made it very clear, I think, because of his protests, he's not on a roster, Colin Kaepernick. And yet Aaron made it very clear in his quotes the second time that he called the reporter back to sort of flesh out his quotes and make it a little clearer. I am going to stand for the anthem because that's the way I feel about the flag. So he didn't back off that, but he said it's because of the protests. He's
acknowledged it, though, Skip. And we're saying he doesn't have to join in on the protest.
Okay, so remember, Tom Brady does a weekly spot on WEEI in Boston, and so I think he did it yesterday, the quotes we're using. What happened on Thursday night? You should know above all people because it might have been the greatest night of your career. I've never seen you happier on a Friday after the opening Thursday night. They got it handed to them 21-0 in the fourth quarter. So, look, I get you. You're right. This is not the guy who's going to take that stand because he's never taken these kinds of social, racial, powerful, away from football stands. It's just not who he is. But especially after they got humiliated on Thursday Night Football on the national stage as the defending champion, you are not going to get that out of Tom Brady at that moment because you can't condemn him. He is fanatically focused on football. That's why at 40 he's still playing at a high level.
But if I'm a black teammate on the Patriots and I hear those quotes, I'm like, he won't even acknowledge something's going on, that what my family and friends and people have to deal with every day doesn't matter to him.
I got it.
You go to your four-story mansion and your gated community and life is great.
Got it.
Skip, there's a bigger world out there. And I'm just an acknowledgement of what's going on. Not he don't have to endorse the protest.
I got it. I think it was just the wrong place, the wrong time for him to acknowledge that. But just for the record, I have known, if I'm counting right, 5 ex-teammates of Tom Brady's who are black. And not once have I heard a discouraging word about Tom Brady off the record, like he's this or he's that, or, you know, he's this or he's that. There's nothing that I've ever heard from anybody, black or white, about Tom Brady behind the scenes for a fact. And you know me, I will tell you if I hear something, I hear nothing but goodness about him. Like he is what he appears to be on TV.
So J.J. Watt lost on Sunday. He needs to start raising money for those.
Yeah, but he's not the franchise quarterback.
He's the face who's the face of the New Houston Texans?
What position takes more time to prepare for?
Skip,
it's not even close.
I put it to you like this.
Quarterback.
It's never the wrong time or the wrong place to say or do the right thing.
Okay, so but Shannon, he's not going to do it on WEEI after they got humiliated.
He's not going to do it, Skip. You and I both know he's not going to do it ever.
Right.
Not in his own home, not on a speaking tour. He's never going to do it, Skip. It's okay to acknowledge it.
But let's not put Aaron Rodgers on some pedestal.
No,
pedestal.
If Aaron Rodgers kneeled for the anthem one day, I'd say, wow, okay, that has impact.
I just want him to, we just want him to acknowledge it. He pretended like this doesn't happen. There's nothing going. I don't know.
There's nothing going on in the league.
So I guess he don't know anything about police brutality either. See, we keep talking about the gesture.
No, I got you. And you have a point. But if you know this guy, you're not going to get that from him.
Yeah, nobody expects this from Tom Brady.
Exactly.
It's very dismissive to say that he doesn't know what's happening.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
It's disingenuous.
That's my only thing. Yeah. It's never going to be the right time and place for him because he's never going to take a stand. He's going to be right down the middle.
No mercy,
Next up, Ezekiel Elliott rushed for over 100 yards in the Cowboys' win Sunday night. He was able to play because last Friday, a judge issued an injunction to stop Zeke's 6-game suspension. The NFL has appealed that injunction, hoping to enforce the original suspension. On Sunday, Jerry Jones talked about the league's role in disciplining players for off-the-field issues. Jones said, "This really has to do with what our league's responsibility is, given the privilege that we have as a league. We certainly stand to be critiqued and examined in that area. So why should it surprise us when we adjudicate, or the equivalent to adjudicate, over privilege that we've got in our relationship with players, and we don't do it in a fair way? Why should it surprise anybody if we get slapped? It doesn't surprise me. You've got to be fair." Shannon, what's your reaction?
Well, I love Jerry. Jerry, I still need one of them Christmas ornaments, man. But I'm about to light you up.
You're about to blast your Christmas ornament.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Skip, he's absolutely right. The NFL should be fair. But Jerry only cares about fairness when it impacts his team. Skip, let me ask you a question. The NFL renegotiated the TV contracts in 2005, 2006, but they pushed the deal until the final year of the CBA. It wouldn't go in effect until 2012, until they had a new CBA, and the owners would get the bulk of the money. Skip, was that fair?
You tell me.
No. Okay, check this out, Skip. In 2015, you know, because they were going through the Deflategate, and Brady and all this, he was caught up in this. This is what Jerry Jones said about Roger Goodell. He's obviously got a very tough job, but he's doing an outstanding job. He didn't mention nothing about this thing being fair or unfair. He said the commissioner has a tough job. He's doing a very tough job. He's doing a very outstanding job. That's why we pay him to make the big. That's why he get the big bucks. But he turned around and said in the same conversation, he says his guys will get together. You know, he's gonna make a lot of money. He says, "Hey, let's be team players now. Let's all get in the room here and realize what happens to everybody, and let's go on and compete. We've got a great league and a great game." So he's telling the other owners, with things, when it seems unfair, go ahead and bite the bullet. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, we got a great league here now. We don't want to mess that up. But now, when his player gets caught up in this unfair web that Commissioner Goodell has had since he's been in office, now it's a problem.
True.
See, we love fairness when it's applicable to us.
Yep.
You want to give somebody 2 years for speeding? Go ahead. He shouldn't have been speeding in the first place. Let me go and get it. Can you give me a warning? You see how that works, Skip? Skip, I love fair. I ain't talking about the one you get candied apple and cotton candy,
Well, we know you don't speed.
Yeah. Joy, whatever.
Is that right?
Skip, it's just hard for me to believe it's hard for me to just take Jerry serious when he talk about fairness, because every guy that's gone before the commissioner has said the exact same thing when he's come out of that office. It's an unfair process. And Jerry Jones never said a word about the fairness and the power that Commissioner Goodell had until his guy got ensnared in that unfair web. They voted unanimously that Commissioner Goodell should have this power. The owners voted 32-0. The teams voted 31-30. Players Union voted 31 of 32 teams. Only the Steelers abstained. Said, nope, you got too much power. And the NFLPA said, guys, you good guys. Tom, you ain't gonna ever have to go before him. Drew, see, the bad apple's the only one that's going before him. So if it's unfair, so what? They were bad to begin with. But it's a funny thing about unfair practices, because every once in a while, they'll, a spider won't bugs. They catch flies, catch a moth, cricket, grasshopper. But every once in a while, he'll catch something a little bit bigger than that. Take that down, too. See, they're not going to always get a Tank Johnson. They're not going to always get a Pac-Man Jones. Sometimes they'll get a Tom Brady. Sometimes they'll get an Ezekiel Elliott. And that in lies where you had the problems. Now, I don't know how true it is, but I heard behind the scenes it was Jerry Jones that was pushing that Roger Goodell really needs to punish the New England Patriots because they got away with Spygate. I don't know if that's true, Skip, but I heard that.
Could be.
And I don't I really hate getting in conjecture and speculation because I don't really have firsthand knowledge, but I feel very comfortable in saying that.
Okay.
But guess what happens?
Is that fair?
What?
For Jerry to push that behind the scenes?
No.
I would say yes, because I've said from the start, I like Tom Brady as a football player, but the Patriots as an organization had a long history of cheating and/or cheating accusations. And finally, the commissioner said, okay, enough is enough. He did it outrageously unfairly because he tried to sacrifice the reputation of a guy who was on his way to being the greatest quarterback ever at age 39. Right. And I believe that he tried to railroad and frame Tom Brady without credible, conclusive evidence, similarly to what's happening to Ezekiel.
Skip, that was Rodgers' fault. He could have done a thorough investigation, and I don't want to get into that, but I know for a fact it was more than they ever let on.
Okay.
And let's just put it like this. It would have been very difficult for Coach Belichick to coach again had all the information come out. And I believe that the punishment that the Patriots would have received
in Spygate.
Right. The punishment that the Patriots would have received in Spygate, had all the information come out, would have been similar to what the Minnesota Timberwolves, David Stern levied against them with that handshake deal they had with Joe Smith.
All right. Fair enough. I got you. But in this case, even though you can make the case that the Dallas Cowboys, back to the Tom Landry days, have had a long history of off-field misbehavior, and you can finally say that all the other owners are saying punish them for this kid's misbehavior off the field, even if you don't have the goods on him on domestic violence. Let's just punish him just to make a statement, to make an example of number 21, the breakout star running back who's second in merchandise sales in the National Football League to Tom Brady. Let's do it now. 6 games, you're gone. And for once, Jerry Jones stood up and said, no. And I'm going to have to deal with this just in the vacuum of this case. So forget about Deflategate for the moment.
Okay.
Just what Jerry is saying is what he has said from the start. And I have told you from the start, and I have been ahead of this curve, that Jerry Jones knew something from the start we did not know. He knew they had the goods on Roger Goodell. I believe he knew a ways back about Kia Wright-Roberts, the director of investigations, just so people get this right, frame this correctly. She's Goodell's hand-picked director of investigations for the last 2 years. Duke undergraduate, Vanderbilt Law School, could have gone to some high-powered law firm and made a bunch of money, chose to become a DA in Brooklyn. Doesn't get a whole lot rougher than in Brooklyn. And over those 7 years she worked as the DA there, she handled dozens of domestic violence cases, sexual assault cases, murders. You just pile it up. She saw it all, did it all. She looked into the eyes of defendant upon defendant upon defendant. And she can read people, I believe, and so she was the only one appointed to interview the accuser out of the league office. Nobody interviewed Ezekiel Elliott's accuser except for Kia Wright-Roberts, not once or twice, but 6 times.
Yes.
And in the final analysis, she ruled and decided and told Roger Goodell, according to Roger Goodell, no punishment for Ezekiel. She did not buy the witness. Right. She didn't think she was credible enough, the accuser, that punishment could be levied against Ezekiel Elliott. And she got cut out of the process at that point. And in the final meeting in which the punishment was decided upon by Roger Goodell, Kia Roberts was excluded. And apparently, she did not like it. And apparently, she had the guts to do the right thing, the gutsy thing. She risked her job. I don't see how she can keep her job now, but we'll see how that plays out. She made it known to the NFLPA she wanted to testify against her bosses in the appeals hearing. Are you kidding me? That's the story of the year in the National Football League, Kia Roberts. So this got on the record in the appeals hearing, and Jerry, I think, knew all along because he kept saying, there's nothing there about domestic violence with Ezekiel. And he also had on his side that not one but 2 police departments had investigated the same accuser, Columbus, Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Neither charged Ezekiel after interviewing the accuser.
Yes.
Wow, really? So you've got 2 police departments, and you have the director of investigations for the NFL, and you have what I think was just a railroad job in the appeals hearing in which Harold Henderson, who used to work for the league, rubber-stamped the 6 games and said, it stands. And the NFLPA beat the NFL to the punch and got it filed in a Texas court in Sherman, Texas. And Judge Amos Mazant, what did he do? He basically ridiculed Roger Goodell publicly. He took him to the public woodshed. He shamed him in the opinion that he wrote about this,
yes,
in which he granted the injunction to say Ezekiel gets to play not only Sunday night, but going forward. Now the NFL is going to challenge that in appeals court. But if you look at what he wrote, Judge Mazant from Texas, he said the arbitration record shows that the NFL, at the very least, turned a blind eye to Roberts' dissenting opinion, Kia Roberts' dissenting opinion. That's what he wrote. So even though you have said from the start, you can't try this on the merits, a judge can't handle the merits of the case, he at least needs to know that you have a case that's a strong one. He needs to know that the procedure wasn't followed, that the director of investigations got cut out of the process when the final analysis came down of 6 games, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so they have a star witness. The NFLPA has a star witness, and I assume that Kia Roberts is going to get called if this goes further in federal court, right?
Yes.
I mean, she's going to get called to testify against Roger Goodell and her other immediate boss, Lisa
But
Freer.
here's the thing that you have to understand. Roger Goodell has the final say. Even though if she comes in, he can still disregard what she said because and this is what you're going to have to go against, Skip. And I read it too. He said they didn't get a chance to cross-examine the witness. They didn't get an opportunity, the NFLPA and Zeke's attorneys.
In the appeals hearing, they asked to see the accuser.
Right.
And they asked to see the commissioner.
Note.
The commissioner.
Yes.
And the NFL said no and no.
But let me
and so Judge Mazant wrote that in his opinion also. You were denied that process.
Yes. But here's the thing. I love Judge Judy. What does Article 46 says? Does it say the commissioner has to make himself available for testimony? If it doesn't say that, Skip, there's not a court that will let this stand.
I'm not sure about this one. This one's going to be different.
Okay.
Because this one has somebody on the inside saying the process wasn't just flawed, it was rigged against Ezekiel Elliott. I think that might stand up in court.
Fact of the matter is that the Article 46 of the CBA says Roger Goodell has final and all say. Not only can he rule, he also reserves the right to hear the appeal. Now, we know what Skip, you remember in 2014 when the scandal hit with all this domestic violence, you had Ray Rice, you had Adrian Peterson, you had Greg Hardy. The commissioner leaned heavy on 6 guys. They call them the Big Six. Jerry Jones, Mr. Kraft, John Mara, Mr. Dan Rooney, Daniel Snyder, and Jerry Richardson. When this was going on, look who released statements. Staunchly standing behind Roger Goodell.
Okay, I got it. But remember the difference this time. It's one thing to accuse a star quarterback of deflating footballs. It's yet another thing to accuse a star running back of domestic violence.
Jerry doesn't care nothing about Skip, I shouldn't say that. Let me take that back. Skip, Jerry is upset that his star running back might miss 6 games. The issue in which he might lead to this.
No, but a court will be a little more open-minded and sympathetic to the idea we are going to brand him as a domestic violator.
I believe in the court of public opinion, it's been swayed one way or another. I think the fact of the matter is that when they look at this and they look at the powers that he has, and he can hear or not hear whatever he chooses. Yeah, I can listen to, and he said, I read what she had to say. Well, if I read what she had to say, what difference does it make?
I don't know. I think it might be a little bit different because it's domestic violence involved. So if the court does decide to make the decision to go with the NFL's suspension, it, in a weird way, in the court of public opinion, will verify that he was involved with domestic violence.
Well, you open up Pandora's box because everybody now, even though I signed a contract and says this is what I have, everybody's going to come in and says, well, no, this was different this time. And normally the courts try to stay out of collective bargain agreements, because this is what the parties agreed to. You knew the fine print that was in there. You gave him this power. You said he can rule on all things. He not only did he have the beginning say,
until
he had the final say.
Clearly, outrageously abuse your power.
Skip, what player has gone before him that said that wasn't the case? Jerry never had a problem until it ensnared one of his players, a star player.
No, I get it, and there's some hypocrisy
Yes!
there. I'm with you, but still, in a vacuum, Jerry has a case here, and they have a case in federal court.
I totally agree with you, Skip. He's absolutely right, but he only wants to be right because it's his player.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.